Okay, we continue with session 1. Okay. So, at the end of the day, look at what David does. And he said to his men, "Far be it from me, by Yahuwah, that I should do this matter to my master, anointed of Yahuwah, to stretch out my hand against him, for he's the anointed of Yahuwah." Now imagine David's heart. This man is trying to kill him. He knows he's anointed king. He knows that he's the anointed and the appointed of the Father. He had already been appointed and anointed how long ago? Yet he didn't come up against that Saul. He didn't strike him. He didn't kill him. He still sees him as the anointed of Yahuwah. And you see, sometimes we might be in that church and the pastor might not be doing right. And yes, that pastor might just be putting you down, or someone is putting you down, but your job is not to come and stand up against them. Your job is to continue to understand that at the appointed time, Father will remove them. It's not you that is going to do that. He will do that at his appointed time. Because many times, if we take those matters into our own hands, we will reap coals upon our lives. So we must be very careful. Because at the end of the day, this is the difference between the heart of David and the heart of Saul. Remember, what did Saul do? Saul would listen to what the people said. So what was Saul doing? As the people were telling Saul, David is trying to kill you, David is trying to kill you, he was trying to kill David. And David was not trying to kill Saul. But Saul, was listening to the voice of the people. Yes, David and his people, his men are saying, today the Father's given you the king into your hands. Kill him. What does he say? I will not do that. He did not listen to the voice of the people. So a leader chosen by Abba Yahuwah does not listen to the voice of the people, but he listens to the voice of Abba Yahuwah. Because he's responsible before Abba Yahuwah. And he says to his men, and David dispersed his servants and went with, and David dispersed his servants with words and did not allow them to raise up against Saul. And Saul rose up from the cave and went on his way. And afterwards David arose and went out of the cave and called out to Shaul, saying, My master, the sovereign. And when Shaul looked behind him, David bowed his face to the earth and did obeisance. Imagine, now David still goes and worships the very man that is trying to kill him. How amazing is that? Do you understand the humility? There's a humility that Father needs in us that's far beyond our understanding. And David says to Saul, why do you listen to the words of men who say, see, David seeks to do you evil? So you see, what does David say to them? He says, why do you listen to the voice of this people telling you that I'm trying to do you evil? He never did him any evil. Not any day of his life did David do evil to the king. David loved the king. See, this day your eyes have seen that Yahuwah gave you today into my hand in the cave, and one said to kill you, but my eye pardoned you. And I said, I do not stretch out my hand against my master, for he is the anointed of Yahuwah. So you see, at the end of the day, Father is the one that is going to remove the kings that he needs to remove. Father is the one. And we need to stay faithful to the Father. And at the appointed time, he's going to remove them. There are going to be those that are going to need to confront and say, what you're doing is wrong. But there are going to be other times when we're just going to need to be silent and say, Father, you deal with it. You deal with it. And that's what I keep saying. I say, Father, you know what? The day's going to come when you're going to remove and you're going to install and appoint. And my Father, see, yes, see the corner of your robe. So he holds up that tzitzit in his hand. And he says, see the corner of the robe. I cut this corner. I didn't bring it. And he cut the corner of the robe. And as he cut it, he's holding it in his hand to know how close were you. You were right in front of me. I could have there and then taken you, slit your throat, and taken you out. But yet I didn't. And yes, the corner of your robe in my hand, for in that I cut off the corner of your robe and did not kill you. Know and see that there is neither evil nor rebellion in my hand, and I have not sinned against you while you are hunting my life to take it. So you see, these people are going to hunt your life to take it, but you are not going to turn against them. You humble. Father's always taught me. There's one thing he's taught me in my life. It's not as right, it's not as wrong, it's who humbles. He's had to get me to go back in the Catholic Church to go say, I'm sorry to a priest, which I know is serving idolatry. And he says, it's not as right, it's not as wrong, it's who humbles. And I had to go say, I'm sorry because I left. Because now I dishonored Mary. Because they were praying their Mary prayers. But guess what? That same priest that was putting letters in my postbox calling me a heretic. And in those days, if I lived in the 1500s, I would have been burnt at the stake straight. Straight. Because now I'm standing up against the Catholic Church. I'm interpreting the Bible. But that same priest then came to me and asked me to pray for him, to lay my hands on him, and to pray over his life, and he could receive what he saw in me. He says, you come from here, I come from here. He says, and I want what you have. But if I didn't go back and humble and say, I'm sorry, even when they were wrong and I was right, and I knew I was right, and I knew they were wrong, and he said, it's not as right, it's not as wrong. It's who humbles and goes there and says, I'm sorry. Because when you say sorry to your enemy that's done you wrong, you heap coals upon their head. But he didn't. And so he says, let Yahuwah judge. So, let Yahuwah judge between you and me. And let Yahuwah revenge me on you. But my hand is not against you. So you see, his hand was not against Saul. As the proverb of the ancients say, wrong comes from the wrongdoer, but my hand is not against you. After whom has the sovereign of Israel come out? Whom do you pursue? A dead dog, a flea? And listen to what he says. And Yahuwah shall be judge, and rightly rule between you and me. And see, plead my case, and rightly rule me out of your hand. So he knew the one whom he served. He knew that the Father was the one who was going to deliver him out the hand of Saul. He didn't need to remove Saul to become king. The Father at the appointed time was going to remove Saul, like he's going to do in the time that we are in now. We are going to see him removing the Sauls. And it came to be, when David had ended speaking these words to Saul, that Saul said, is this your voice, my son David? So Shaul lifted up his voice and wept. You see, he weeps because he sees what he's done wrong. Now listen to what he says. And he says to David, you are more righteous. You are more righteous than I, for you have rewarded me with good, whereas I have rewarded you with evil. So you see, you don't need to do your enemy evil. You reward your enemy with good. And when you reward your enemy with good, that enemy will be humbled, and he will see that you are a righteous man and he's wicked. And it came to be when David had ended speaking, again he says, you are more righteous than I, for you have rewarded me with good, whereas I have rewarded you with evil. And you have shown today, this is for Saul speaking, and you have shown today how you have done good to me. For when Yahuwah surrendered me into your hand, you did not kill me. Now remember, Saul knew he could have killed him there and then, but he didn't. For if a man finds his enemy, shall he let him get away safely? I mean, he knew. He knew the enemy that day. If you caught the enemy, you killed the enemy. That's the way it went. And let Yahuwah reward you with good for what you have done today. So you see now, his enemy blesses him. Let Yahuwah reward you with good today. And now look, I know that you shall certainly reign. Now he acknowledges that he's king. And look, I know that you shall certainly reign, and that the reign of Israel shall be established in your hand. And now swear to me by Yahuwah that you do not cut my seed after me, nor destroy my name from my father's house. And David swore to Shaul. Then Shaul went home, and David and his men went up to the stronghold. And he did honor that prayer, because even when Saul and Jonathan died, David brought Jonathan's son, Methuselah, I think was his name, and he brought him into the palace, and he would dine with the king every single day. He dined with the king. He was crippled, but he dined with him. And even then, David honored Saul's prayer. So this is where we will end tonight, as we come to the end of seeing the house of Saul coming to an end. And tomorrow we will see the house of David coming forth as we pursue. So praise you, Abba Father.